Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Sratham Patak. I'm Sarah of Expat in Croatia, and that's Cam.
Hey, hey, hey.
And this is 5 Question Friday. Every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, I answer 5 questions about Croatia from people who have asked them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, expatinCroatia.com, email, our consulting sessions, and people who ask them through a food pun.
Ooh, I got one. What do you think is the possibility of having your questions answered today? That was so good, right? My kids will be proud.
Yes, absolutely, yes. I hear they are big fans of food puns.
They like puns.
Who would not be?
Yes. Well, they are qualified as children. We promise the show will get so much better than
I like to think if we're having fun, they're having fun.
Maybe, hopefully, we can hope.
So, guys, we are indoors, and you remember how in the spring I was like, I just want it to be warm and not rainy so that I can be outside and show you some really cool parts of Croatia. And then that happened 2 Fridays?
Yeah.
And now Croatia has experienced a heat apocalypse, and Dalmatia and Zadar and Šiben and the whole southern part of Croatia has no power today. The people are locked in elevators, and it's just chaos on the roads because none of the lights work, even though it was chaos on the roads when the lights worked. And we're up here, and yeah, we have power up here in the north where Cam and I are today, but it is soup outside. It is so gross. You can't think. You're just covered in sweat everywhere. My muscles wouldn't work. We were sitting at lunch today like zombies, like, ugh.
Yeah, it was bad. It got really bad really fast.
Yeah. So the word on the street is, it's really, really hot up here, but word on the street is down in the south, it's the real feel is 46 Celsius, which for my Fahrenheit folks is 114 degrees. That is Texas weather. That is out of hand. I cannot imagine that without air conditioning. Oh, people are going to die. That's real bad. That's real bad. So I hope all of my Dalmatia folks get some electricity soon. My heart goes out to you. I'll be there on Sunday.
If you know any old people, please check in on them today. If you're in Dalmatia, please knock on your neighbors' doors. Make sure everybody's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. We've had trouble in the past when we've had these heat waves down in Dalmatia when we didn't lose electricity and people struggled because there are a lot of people who still don't have air conditioning down there. Whether it's because of financial reasons or just by pure choice, because
Klima kills.
Klima kills, yeah. But Klima kills or heat kills? I don't know. So it's a rough day in Croatia today with this heat. I know I saw some hellos up here at the top. Who else we got? Oh, hi from Bella Luka. Hello. Hi from New York. And hi, Cam. So, Rob, I'm going to go see him in Istria next week.
Oh, I thought he was saying, hi, Cam, see me in Istria next week. I'm like, I'm not going to Istria next week. Hi, Rob. Guess you'll see Sarah in Istria next week.
Yeah. Are we having a tri-tip next week, Rob? You've been promising for forever. Okay, let me scroll back down. Oh. Looking forward to the heat and sun in just over a week. In Germany, we have forgotten what sunshine is. Well, we've got lots of it here. Oh, and a friend of mine called me today down from Split just to tell me, about the catastrophe that's happening down there. And she also said that in addition to the heat, that the entire sky is just filled with sand from the Sahara. So it's just like orange, just completely orange. So I hope that clears up for you. The heat's not going to go away, but this is too much. You just can't breathe. It's by far too much. It kind of reminds me of being a kid in Texas. There are days we had these orange and purple alerts during the summer where they're like, you just can't go outside. It's not good for your health. And honestly, I feel like that's what they're dealing with today. The temperature is comparable. Hello from Canada.
Hey, fellow Canadian.
It's already back on, Emil? Ooh, that's great.
Yes, I saw a new post at Makarska's Got Power. The AC was going on in the stories.
No, don't end the live video. I don't know what I've broken here, dude. I don't know what I've done.
Something.
I've done something, but I don't know what I did.
Okay, as long as everyone can still see us and hear us, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I don't know. So Instagram's doing something weird. All right, so let us tell you a little bit about what we've been up to this week. We are doing a super special project. We can't tell you about that. It's too early. Sorry. But we have been exploring a lot. So we were in Karlovac, and then we were in Dugaresa on the Mrežnica River. That was really fun, and we ran away from all the mosquitoes.
Well, you did, because, I'm Canadian, and I thought that they loved me, but they love her more. Crazy.
My blood is crack.
Yeah.
My blood is crack. And then where else did we go? Yesterday we went to Samobor. That was fun. We had kremšnita.
Very good.
It was super tasty, so thank you to everyone who made some suggestions on where we should go have that. And did we do something else? I can't think because my brain is mushy gray matter.
It is mushy gray matter. No, we explored. We went up to the Gorica and Svetajana today.
Oh, yeah. That's what we did.
And tried not to die from that heat. It's been fun. It
has been fun. We've been exploring lots and having lots of laughs and stuff. Yeah, so let's start there for now. We'll go ahead and dig into the questions, and then I've got some updates for you on what I've got going on tomorrow and next week, and there's lots more fun adventures ahead. So today, as you know, is super special because Cam's here, so we're going to do things a little bit different today. I've got questions for Cam. So we've got a few questions from the audience that we've been saving for a while until the next time Cam was going to do 5 questions for me because she's the best person to answer them. Although one of them I think was actually directed at you. Yeah. And then I've got some questions that I prepared for Cam as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started, all right? So if you're just joining us, thank you so much for being here. This is 5 Question Friday, and we have 5 questions about Croatia that Cam is going to answer today. Oh, I get to just kick back and do nothing.
Well, you have to ask the questions.
Oh, reading's so hard.
Oh.
This first question comes from Anna here on Instagram. Would you recommend buying land and building a home in Croatia or buying a home and renovating it?
Such a good question and very appropriate since we did do one of those things. And so I guess this isn't a recommendation because obviously everyone's going to do what works best for them and what's best in their situation. And for some, that's going to be purchasing a home and renovating, and for others, it's going to be finding that dream piece of land and building from scratch. So our story is that we bought a piece of land, and there was an old house on it, an old decrepit 1960s, like when the foundation came down, it was sand.
Whoa!
It was pretty bad. So we took it down and we opted to build what's here called mush in the brain, a montažna kuća. So essentially a prefabricated home. Croatians know the bricks and mortar style of building those huge cinder blocks, especially here in the north. I know it's different in Dalmatia, but they've got some amazing forward-thinking companies to choose from to build a prefab home, and that's what we went with ultimately for so many reasons, but obviously some huge ones being energy efficiency, the quality of the materials being used, and just the whole process. If you've ever done anything here or you have to wait for my study, I mean, it's enough to lose your mind.
What do you mean by my study?
Oh, my study are like skilled tradespeople. So you've got a majstor that lays tile. You've got majstori that are plumbers, that are electricians. And typically when you are building a montažna kuća, you can select to have a turnkey. So they're taking care of everything from start to finish. Or we decided to do visokorohba, which is like almost finished, but not turnkey. So my husband's very handy, as you know. So he's laid every tile, I'm certain, with love and no swear words. He painted, and he built the kitchen. He's doing all of the things, and so that's what we chose because that made the most sense for us. So yeah, we did a lot of research on this. We ended up choosing a company that's actually local to Yaska, and I'm going to give a shout out to them. It's Partas, Partas .huda. They're fabulous. And with all the research I did, I felt like the quality of what they were offering was incredible. And we knew somebody who knew them. And you know this, living in Croatia for 12 years, is Croatia is all about building community and connections. And to know somebody who knew them, it felt like less of a risk.
Sure.
And it was. We were treated like family from the beginning, and through the whole process, we've been treated like family in the best way possible.
Yeah, it depends on what your family's like.
And we're almost done. I thought we might. So my goal was okay. The foundation started to be built on Valentine's Day. That's how I remember, because we were doing work and I engraved our names in a heart. And it's the end of June and we're probably about a week away. All that's left is toilet install and connecting the water to the house. We're already connected to the city. So, February, March, April, May, that's 4 months. That doesn't count the paperwork, people, but it counts the work that the company did to get us into our home. So
yeah, 0 to house in 4 months is
pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive, given the fact that Croatia has a huge shortage of construction companies, and there are some contractors that have year or two waits.
Yeah, and the fact that we weren't, the one thing that I loved about it, we have a few people that we know who are building in different ways or combinations of ways, including my aunt, who they've been waiting for a maestor to do their bathroom for a really long time, more than half a year.
Oh my gosh, for a bathroom?
Yeah, and it's just so hard to find those skilled tradespeople. And it's I felt like we were in a circle of tradespeople and things were just moving along. And I think that was one of the greatest benefits. So we're really happy. We've enjoyed the process. And by enjoy, I mean, I never want to build a house ever again. I'm dying in this one. Hopefully it's been a very, very long time. But all in all, it's been a great experience. It was cool watching our house roll into the village on a truck with the crane, putting it together like it's an IKEA house. It was so cool. And just seeing,
but much sturdier.
Yes.
Than IKEA. I feel like that's important.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Actually, that's what I wanted to say. So I'm Canadian, and we see a lot of timber homes in Canada. These beautiful, beautiful homes with this quality, big, massive pieces of wood, and our house is framed in this. Marco, my husband, was walking around going okay, our houses are the wood is not very thick. That's built it, but these are massive. And our balcony, our back porch, they had actually put, I think there's 8 of them, and they were just they were going to cover them in facada. And I was please, this would cost $1 gajillion in I could never even dream of this in Canada. And I have these exposed beams here. They're so beautiful. And it's just the standard. It's the standard that this company uses. And I've been impressed by the quality and everything. So that was the route that we chose. And I'm very excited to get into my new house.
Yeah, and your back porch rocks pretty hard.
Yes, I took Sarah. It's a pretty great porch.
Yeah, we stood on top of the house too, and that was cool.
Yes, we have a part of it that's a flat roof, and you can see miles and miles or kilometers away. So, yeah, I think in the end it depends, but there's really some great options, and there are very innovative companies and forward-thinking businesses here, which I don't think a lot of people equate with Croatia. There's a lot of talent and skill here, and I really hope that more people see that and explore that here.
For sure. Well, I'd say that one, they've had a need for that. So I'm glad to see that people are filling that niche. That's excellent. It's about time, quite frankly, because, like I said, there's a huge shortage of contractors. And they are using different materials in different parts of Croatia. You were mentioning the cinder blocks up here. Down in Dalmatia, they're using concrete and rebar, which, which is very sturdy. But
Croatians love their concrete.
Hey, you know what? I have lived in a concrete building like all the time. This is my fourth home. And hopefully my last for a very long time. But they've all been concrete, and I've been very pleased with that because I feel like it retains warmth and coolness very well. And also all the times that we've had earthquakes down in Dalmatia, it's just like, it doesn't, you hear a rumble, but like that's it, And the last earthquake I remember experiencing, it was like about 11 o'clock at night, and I was lying in bed, and it started to rumble, and I was like, whatever, I'm just going to lay here. Because I just knew that I just didn't feel like I was in danger. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that obviously in Zagreb, they've had a completely different situation, but a lot of the hardest hit homes there were ones that were not earthquake proof.
Yeah.
And so those ones that are concrete, the newer ones are. I'm kind of getting a little sidetracked here.
That's okay.
Now I've returned to my point.
It's your show.
Our show. It's all of our show. We're here to serve. The last thing I want to say about that, and this was the point I want to return to, is the old stone homes, because a lot of people who are coming to Croatia, they really gravitate towards that old stone home here in Croatia because, it's beautiful, and there are some energy efficiencies about it. But that being said, those types of homes, they're not like renovating a regular home. You have to get certain people that are skilled in that type of home. And also the style of stone home construction is different in Dalmatia, it's different in Istria, it's different inland. They all have different styles. So not only do you have to get someone who is skilled in stone homes, you have to find a contractor that is skilled in that particular style of stone home. So, to go back to Anna's original question, she was asking, is it better to buy, a property and either tear down and build from scratch, or just buy land and build from scratch, or to renovate a home? It's all going to depend on what it is that you want. Do you want a modern home, that is completely everything's new? Do you want an old style home that is stone? Do you really want to have more flexibility, or do you want to have a bit more of the speed? It just, everyone's tastes are different. Everyone's needs are different. Also, the part of the country is also going to make a difference. Absolutely. So there's pluses and minuses on both sides. But that being said, I think the overarching thing that's going to affect no matter what it is that you do in construction, whether you're building from new or you're renovating, is the fact that we have a shortage of construction workers. And the last thing I want to say, and then you can say whatever you want, to anyone out there who is a contractor, there's a huge opportunity to come to Croatia and open up a construction business. Please come to Croatia and open up a construction business. We need you here. Please, please, please.
Shout out to GTA drywallers. Please come.
Right. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No. I'm good for the next question.
Hang on a second. We have to talk about our promotional guides.
Oh, yes, our guides. Well, hold on. I don't think it's in there, but you have the building permit one there, but you were talking about the stone homes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, of course you knew that.
Well, silly me, I did not anticipate my tangent. That's an amateur move on my own part. So we have multiple guides about renovating stone homes. We also have a guide on how to obtain a building permit. So if you would like any of those, shoot us a DM, and this girl will send those over to you.
Which is not for the weak of heart, by the way. I talked about my positive building experience, but putting paperwork together for a permit is that's a whole show.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, we got a question a little bit further up I saw come in, so I would definitely like to address that. So I'm going to scroll up now, all gently so I don't break anything, as I have a tendency to do. Look at all those people who've joined. Holy cow. Ava. Hi, Ava.
Hi, Ava.
Do you know something about Ukraine after 3/2025? In Croatia, is it possible to open an obert and to stay here because of an obert? Okay, so through context clues, what I think that you're referring to is Croatia's offer of temporary protection to Ukrainian citizens and Ukrainian residents who were in Ukraine as legal residents when the war started. So Croatia offered 3 years of temporary protection that expires in 2025. You didn't get a 3-year permit right from the gate. You got 1 year at a time. And then each year they renew it, although they did it at the last minute, I feel like the last two times. So yeah, so this is the last year for that. Maybe they will extend it, but I don't think they're going to. I'm reading the tea leaves from across Europe, and I don't think that's what they're going to do. Croatia usually follows the European Union on this and their recommendation, so that's unlikely. So what does that mean? That means that any Ukrainians that are on temporary protection, if they would like to stay in Croatia, they're going to have to switch to a permit on a different basis, which is absolutely possible. It's open to you. Any of the programs that are available to third country nationals are open to you as well. We do have a guide on the site that goes over every single different residence option for non-EU, non-EEA citizens or third country nationals. So that is the first part of the question. Second part of the question is it possible to open an obert and get residence through that? It is. However, whenever you open a business and you do not already inherently have the freedom to work, which in this case you wouldn't, third country nationals do not inherently have a right to work. They have to obtain the right to work through some kind of basis. So digital nomads obtain the right to work for a foreign registered company through the digital nomad permit. People who are working for a specific company as an employee, they obtain the right to work through that work and stay permit through an employment contract. And when you are opening up your own company, regardless of whether it's an LLC or an obert, it doesn't matter, then you have to obtain the right to work for your own business. And to do that, you have to hire 3 full-time Croatians and you have to invest 40,000 euros in the business. Now, with obert, you don't invest startup capital. And it's, honestly, I've never heard of anyone using that program for obert. You supposedly can. I know we looked into this a couple of years back, and you can do it, but it doesn't make sense to do it because the reason that people open up an obert versus an LLC is to save money. Because opening up an obert, there's 3 different kinds of obert, but the best type of obert is a paušalni obert, and your tax is flat rate. It's like the lowest amount of tax you can possibly have by opening up a business. It's a really great way for people who are just starting their business to get on their feet, essentially, and get their businesses up and running. So if you are forced to hire 3 full-time Croatians and also invest 40,000 euros, then you have the cost. Like, you're not saving anything. It's actually going to harm you more because with an obert, the OIB for the obert is your personal OIB, which means you take on all the liability for the business. So if you have to invest that much in a business, it does not make sense to have an obert. It makes more sense to have a DOO. You can't open a DOO and do the 3 full-time Croatians because the startup capital limit is 2,600 euros. So you can't invest 40,000 euros in startup capital in DOO. It forces you to open up a DOO only. So yes, you can, but the DOO is better, and you have to follow those rules. We do have a guide on how to obtain a work permit by owning a company, employing yourself. If you would like that, send us a DM. We'll shoot that over to you. Ava, we do have a residence guide specifically for Ukraine citizens that goes over your options. If you'd like that, we can also send that to you. Thank you so much for the question. All right, I'm going to scroll back down, all gentle-like. Hey, Reno. Thanks for joining. Okay. Lots
of people here today.
Yeah, I see Tyler's out there, too. All right. Are there incentives or grants for installing solar panels on your home? Yes, but not all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't get there yet. It's in our plans to look into this, but yeah, sorry. I had to shift my legs.
That's all right. It's just a little nudge.
Just a little gentle.
Just a little nudge. So they do, but not all the time. So I'm trying to think of I think it's eufondovi.hr is the site for EU funds. And they put out calls for solar panels every so often. And the funds usually go pretty quick. So keep an eye on that. I know that there are some times when we mention these calls for solar panels as well as electric cars in our newsletters. So if you're not signed up for our newsletter, you can do that. And
there's a reason. There you go.
Yeah. So we usually announce that in our newsletter. If you have not signed up for our newsletter, it only goes out once a week. We don't send you spam. And it has lots of great stuff in it, like Croatian news, summarized in English, stuff that's actionable for your life and will actually impact you, among all kinds of other wonderful stuff. You can find the link to sign up at the link in our bio. Thank you so much for the question. Okay. Nada asked, what about if you have opened a DAO? Oh, it's the same thing. I already answered that. Okay, let me scroll back down. Once we receive temporary residence on the ground of owning a property, do we have to pay a tax on our pensions and savings? So I can't tell you straight yes or no, because taxes vary depending on where you're earning that income, that pension. It depends on whether or not your country has a double taxation treaty in place with Croatia. It depends on what kind of double taxation treaty it is, because not all of them are the same. They usually have different terms in each treaty. So it's very, and we can send you the link if you'd like us to, but if you would like to, do it now, if you type double taxation treaties Croatia, you will find a list on Porezna Uprava's website, and then you can click on your country and it will tell you what the terms are. Now, the United States and Australia do not have double taxation treaties in place with Croatia.
Wah, wah, wah.
Two places with the largest amount of Croatian diaspora, they don't have a double taxation treaty in place. Anyways, but you know what? I can't speak to Australia, but at least in the case of the United States, it's the United States' fault. It's not Croatia. Croatia's done everything they can possibly do to make this happen. So it depends. It really depends. It depends on your country. But if you would like to talk to a tax advisor who can really give you a very clear, confirmed, licensed opinion on what your tax liability might look like in Croatia, we can always connect you with somebody. Okay, great question. Hey, Queenie! All right, let me go back down.
Oh, we made it down.
Pension is from the UK. I don't know all the terms of the UK agreement, but I think I'm going back into my Rolodex.
For anyone who knows what that is.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I miss Rolodex. Yeah. Anyways, I think that in the case of the UK, it is in the agreement that the pensions are exempt, but I would check the UK agreement to be certain, or check with a tax advisor. All right. Canada,
we have a double taxation treaty.
Do you know if pensions are exempt?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that old yet.
Yeah, the best way to know is to talk to a tax advisor or to go and read those agreements.
Yeah.
That's how you find out.
I would recommend a tax advisor if you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
Sure. Oh, I wouldn't do it's my first time doing taxes from here.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like as a foreigner in Croatia, it's really easy to commit tax evasion.
By accident?
Either by accident or purposefully.
Oh.
And I think, look, when you move to Croatia, MUP is not going to sit you down and be like, look, these are all the taxes you have. That's not, it's on you to know what taxes you have to pay. And so I think some people are like, oh, well, I pay taxes in my home country, so I don't have to pay them in Croatia. And that's just an assumption that gets made, whether it's true or not. And I think in most cases it's not true, actually, because taxes are usually based on tax residency. So if you're in Croatia for more than 183 days and you become a tax resident at that point, and you're obligated to report, potentially pay tax on your worldwide income to Croatia. There are some exceptions, but those are exceptions. They're not the rule. And then I think some people are like, well, I know I'm supposed to be paying taxes in Croatia, but I don't want to. And how is Croatia going to know? And so they just don't. And I think, and it's true that how is Croatia going to know? And the way that they know is if you buy a house or you buy an expensive car. Those are the two most common ways that they find out if you're evading taxes. Or if you end up just staying here long enough, they're eventually going to, it's going to catch up with you. But if you're only here a year, then yeah, you could probably get away with it. But we're not going to recommend that anyone do that. Everyone should follow the rules. We're never going to encourage anyone to break the rules. Our job is not to tell you what to do. Our job is to give you the information so that you can make an informed decision about what is best for your situation, and or point you in the right direction to a professional who can give you a licensed opinion.
There's a question. Any suggestions? It died. No sound since you read the last question. Okay. Okay.
How's that?
We have taken off the microphone that apparently just died.
How's that?
Can we have a confirmation? Oh, hi, Bisera. It's back. Yay!
All right, let me go plug this in.
It's back. Thanks, guys. Oh, now we can hear you. Beautiful.
Great.
So we were just saying that the one consistency about apps has been the fact that everybody complains that Duolingo and Rosetta Stone don't have Croatian. I delved really deep into the apps before we came to Croatia for the kids, because I wanted to, hi from Bisera, we chat on DMs.
Oh, okay. Y'all are besties.
So I dove into like the vocab drop styles, a lot of the conversation ones. My kids were like, wow, they drink a lot of beer and coffee in Croatia. I'm like, that is a lesson well learned, but you know, a lot of the conversations are obviously based for adults and are very much tied to beer and coffee. Which is kind of funny.
You know, and that's the trouble that I had with the Croaticum textbooks, because they're all centered around conversations between students. It's like, I haven't been a student in 20 years. Why am I learning all this vocabulary about how to talk to other students? You know, how am I going to use this in my daily life? You know? So that, I don't know, that's why me in particular, I just prefer a lesson with a single human so that they can customize it to me. I'm also an audio learner and I'm a visual learner, but I'm also a learner who slinks into the background in groups. I've never been able to get on board with an app because I just forget about it, because we all have 1,000 apps on our phone and it's just too much clutter for me.
Yeah, we tried a bunch with the kids, and I even paid for stuff. But yeah, the language is about people and communication, and I do agree. And I know we're going to talk about language in one of the questions, but you know, I'm a little bit shkrta. Shkrta means oh my god, what's the English word? I don't like to spend money.
Oh, you're cheap.
I'm cheap.
Well, it would be cheap or frugal. Which one?
I'm frugal. I'm not cheap.
Right.
And my husband would disagree with all of that, because apparently I spend too much. But
well, he's not here.
No, he's not. Hi. He's not. He's definitely not. And I would have never thought it would be worth spending the money on one-on-one. I would have even and it's for me, I'm well, better to do the class than one-on-one, because when you look at something on an hourly basis, that's a huge financial investment.
Sure.
But I gotta say, it makes the difference, because we're all different. And then if you're the wallflower, you don't slink back towards the wall. And if you're the chatty Cathy, you're not the one taking over all the conversation so that the wallflower doesn't even have a chance to say hello in Croatian. I'm now that I've experienced it, and we hired a private tutor for the boys too, at the beginning, and it was so worth the investment. It was really, really worth the investment. So, and with an app, you're paying the monthly, you're probably going to forget about it or stop using it, or you've had to subscribe for the year. I've lost a lot of money on the apps, and I don't know how much I got back.
I feel, and I could be talking out of my butt here, because I really have not been able to use any apps for more than a week. It's not worked for me. But apps are great for vocabulary, but not great for grammar. That's my impression.
Yeah.
It sounds like you spent more time on them than I have, so would you agree with that?
Yeah. You're definitely not learning, the basics of grammar, for sure. It's very conversational and vocab building. I remember doing a vocab drip, which was cool, but great. So you know how to say tepi in Croatian. Well, fabulous.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Why is it tebe? Why is it tebi? Why is it tobom?
God.
Yeah.
So we don't have so long story short, Steph, we don't have a record.
We don't. No, nothing has seemed to rise to the top whenever we've tried to take surveys from people. Just complaints. Complaints have risen to the top.
Lots of complaints.
But nothing that has kind of gone above and beyond. If that changes, of course, we'll let everybody know. And that being said, if anyone who's listening has a great app that they like, feel free to share it. So far, I haven't seen anyone drop it, which I think supports the point.
I think so too.
Yeah. Okay, you ready for the next question?
I am. Are you ready for us to stop being so long-winded today?
I think it's just our nature, Cam.
It might be. Times two.
Yeah, a zebra cannot change its stripes. All right, so this one came in for you specifically.
Yes.
So this is from Jen on the 5-Question Friday forum. What would Cam say was the most challenging for her kids after moving to Croatia?
Yeah, I made notes for this one because I wanted to do my kids justice. And I wanted to do you guys justice, any parents, because I do talk about this a lot in the consulting sessions. And as parents, obviously, for making a big decision like coming here, whether it's permanently or for a year, kids play a huge role in this. And actually, there's a reel coming up where I do talk about putting the kids in the school system here versus choosing a private English school for them. I think the most challenging thing for the kids was, first of all, being pulled out of the school that they were in their whole lives. So our situation is interesting because we came to the village where they have come multiple times in their life, where they had a group of friends that they would get to see and hang out with every 3 or 4 summers. So they weren't coming into a place that they didn't know. But, that's a whole lot different than sitting at a desk with a teacher and having expectations of them that they just weren't used to. Not to mention the fact that pedagogy here is significantly different, and I would argue better, but there are people who would not argue that. It's a conversation for another time, but different than North America. Obviously, my experience is Canada. I think it was difficult for them to navigate what was expected of them. And there was a lot more emphasis on homework, on daily work. They loved that their days were shorter. So in our school board and where they went to school, they had morning and afternoon school, which alternated. So they really enjoyed that. Language was obviously also a barrier, but not a negative one.
What was their level of Croatian when they came here?
So hard to say. They each had a different level. We spoke Croatian in the home. My oldest didn't know any English when he started kindergarten, but once you get into school in English, like we really had to focus on learning to spell, like reading, and all of these things. So the focus really shifted. But I'd say, so we speak Croatian in my family, which is half Croatian, half English. So they always had it in their ear, and we would watch Netflix in Croatian and things like that, listen to lots of Croatian music. So they've always had the language in their ear. Mm-hmm. But I'd say their vocabulary was bigger than their skill set to be able to put together sentences properly. Okay. So when they came, it was pretty challenging, not to mention that like in grade 1, they learned handwriting here, like script. Like, you don't print here as a student. I think in just grade 1, you print, and then they teach you how to, like, write.
Oh, like cursive?
Cursive, thank you. I'm like script, because it's a font.
Well, that's what Canva calls it.
So, like, even that, they had to learn to read the writing on the board.
Oh, wow.
In cursive. And it's totally, like, we tried to teach them, and they're just like, no way. Like, this is not happening. But they've learned to read it, and the teachers have been flexible enough to allow them to print still. But that's really interesting. And I love that the kids know how to use cursive here. I think it's a disservice that they don't teach that at least in Ontario, they didn't. So, hold on. Hello, I text. Okay. I'm like, can they still see us and hear us? But yeah, so I think that was a really huge challenge for them. I'm going to extend that and say what the challenge was for me as a parent. Because now all of a sudden I'm putting my children in a school system that I haven't experienced. And I don't know how to be a supportive parent, but I don't know how to support them in surviving that new school system. Mm-hmm. So it was just as much of a learning curve for me as it was for them, because the teachers communicate in a different way. They have different expectations of parents here than they do there. And so it was školovanje for me too. It was a schooling for me as well. I do want to mention that the Ministry of Education gives foreigners or diaspora returning 70 hours of Croatian language lessons outside of school hours. And I have to say that was pivotal for them. Mm-hmm. Because 2 to 3 times a week outside of school, like usually either after school or before school, they spent an hour with a teacher who wasn't their daily teacher, that came and assisted them with their homework, which was like a lifesaver for me because the way they do math here is so different. Everything. And that time was really great. And at the end of the 70 hours, I sat down with the principal and with the guidance counselor and with this teacher that was teaching them. And I was like, can we like continue this? And they're like, they're doing amazing. Like, they're doing so well. So it was the nudge that they needed, you know? And so they love it. If I ask, they miss Canada, they miss their friends, but they've done well. It's been 1.5 years of school here. The school year's finishing off, and I think in the end, I'm hopeful that in 20 years, they're like, Mama, Tata, thank you. That's my hope. I think I'll get there.
I think so, too. They seem like happy kids.
They are happy kids. They're happy kids.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know if there was any questions.
I didn't see any come
through.
Cool. So on that note, we have guides.
Yeah.
We have guides on all the different education levels. We also have a guide on how your child can adapt to the new learning environment in here in Croatia if your child is a foreigner. So we also have that as well. So if you like any of that, send us a DM. Also, we have a guide on how to obtain school books and the explanation on school shifts, because those are...
Oh my God, getting those school books. Oh my God. It's so different. It's so cool though. It's so cool. It's really cool.
All right.
I
trust you.
Ooh, can I add one thing that was really funny?
Yeah.
So at the beginning, so the boys went into grade 5, which for us is sort of like a change here from like elementary to middle school almost. They have a homeroom teacher. It's sort of like a high school feel. And every homeroom class needs like a parent volunteer that attends like the school meetings. And like, you know, it's like the plague when the teacher asks who's going to volunteer. And I kind of had this idea where it would give me a way to participate and learn more. Mm-hmm. So I like put my hand up and volunteered, and all the parents were like, do you know what you were signing up for? And I was like, yes, yeah, no, yes, no. But I did, and I went to, it was like 2 meetings in the school year, and I'm so happy that I did.
Awesome.
Because I got to sit in on this meeting, learn a little bit more about the culture of school, how the school functions, just from participating in this.
Sure.
You know, and that was a really positive for me. Anyways, that's my little addition.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I just want to add a quick anecdote that I forgot to say at the beginning. So, Cam took me to watch the Croatia-Albania game in the village firehouse, and that was really neat.
It was pretty, like, down home.
It was. Because all the other times I watched the Croatia games, it's always been at, like, cafe bars. And when I told her that was like a foreign concept to her, like, why would you go watch it at a cafe bar? It's like, that's the only way to watch this at a cafe bar. Or like on a big, turg or something. But yeah, so that was a really cool experience. So thank you, Cam, for taking me to the firehouse in the cello. What is the system if you have a disabled child in the school, if they require physical support?
That's a great question. I think that depends on the school board and where you are. We are in a situation where we needed some other supports. One of my kids has an IEP, which is an individual education plan, is what they're called in Ontario. And the school was really, really wonderful about accommodating that. So I think in terms of physical disabilities or physical needs, I think a conversation with a principal is the way to go. I mean, I did that before the kids even came here. I made appointments because we had other things that we had to deal with a poliklinika and making contacts in Zagreb for doctors. And this was all like a scouting trip that I did. And one of them was, can this school system support the needs of my child to support their education? And while it's not a resounding yes, it's a pretty darn good yes for our situation. So I think it would really depend upon what your child's needs are, and I would really encourage you to have a conversation, to reach out to that school, that principal, that community, and see what that is. I know we have I have a friend who has a child with disabilities, and in terms of busing and transportation, they most definitely have made that possible and something that works. So I think it's dependent on the situation. What I do find here is that there are no like standards, right? Like like there's no standard way to do things. And so when you need something, you have to sort of announce, I need this, and a solution needs to be sometimes created. And that's okay. That shouldn't deter you from asking for it. But I have found that you cannot expect things. You definitely have to dig for them and ask for them here.
For sure. And the thing that I would like to just add on to that is not all schools here are created equal.
No, not at all.
So depending on what your child's needs are, first target the school that's in the district where it is that you would like to live. And if you don't feel like you're getting the answers or the accommodations that you need for your child, then start branching out from there. Don't hesitate to leverage the expat groups to see, because there are parents in those groups who also have kids with special needs, a variety of special needs. So you may end up finding someone who experienced the same thing, has already found a solution. So that I would kind of work both sides against the middle. I would talk to the principals for sure, but also talk to other foreigners who have also dealt with the same thing. And there are also a lot of Croatians that are in those expat groups as well. So you may actually find someone there. There are a lot of groups for Croatian parents. They're in Croatian. So if you need to really take it a step further, you could try and join one of those groups. I would just recommend posting Croatian, so have a friend help you with that. But there are resources out there. And I would say that I mentioned a post a little bit earlier about how to adapt your child to a learning environment. The woman who wrote that article would also be a great resource. She's a Croatian woman, and she does a blog for adopting children. She works with a lot of foreigner parents, so she would also be someone that you could contact that would probably, she used to be a teacher in the system, so she's very familiar with it. She could also probably point you in the right direction as well. Thank you so much for that question.
Great question.
Hello, Zadar. Okay, Zadar. We are now on our, wait, are we? Yes. We are now on our lawyer tip of the week. Dun, da, da, da.
I didn't tip. Like, no, all good. You go. It's getting hot in here, even though the AC is on. I'm sweating. My face is red.
No, we'll talk about that later. Okay, here's our lawyer tip of the week. Don't be afraid to sign a contract without notarization. Only in a few instances is notarization required for a contract to be valid in Croatia. Examples include life support, home loans, and gift contracts without direct transfer of possession. For a contract to be valid in Croatia, it must be valid in content and form, per the law. The point of notarization is not to provide validity of the contract, nor to guarantee the content. The only purpose is to prove the identity of the contract parties. If you have a notarized contract and there is a dispute, the opposing party cannot claim it was not them who signed the contract, since the notary validated their identification. To protect yourself without notarization, ask them to sign the contract in front of you and take a copy of their national ID or passport.
I did not know that. That was really cool.
Yeah, I didn't either. So something I want to clarify for sure, because I imagine there are some question marks like going off above some people's heads, is when you are registering your address at MUP, if you're renting, you're required to provide a notarized rental contract. That is completely unrelated to this. The reason that you have to provide a notarized rental contract to MUP is because when you notarize a rental contract in front of a public notary, the public notary is obligated to send that rental contract to the tax office to ensure that the landlord pays their taxes. So that is why that happens. So I just want to make sure that you understand why these two things are like not connected. Because I could see how someone's like, well, if it's valid without notarization, why do I have to do it for my rental contract? Because too many landlords were not taking that rental contract and reporting it to the tax office, and so this is the MUP and the tax office essentially like went into cahoots about 3 years ago, and that's when they started recommending that. So that's why. All right. Now we're gonna start my questions for Cam. You recently started Croatian lessons, even though it appears to everyone looking at you that you are fluent in Croatian. In fact, you've told me that your first language was Croatian. What is the biggest struggle that you have with the Croatian language?
Yeah, great question. Oh, Hrvatski. Grammar. I'm going to say it. It's a strong word.
That's a very strong word, Cam.
I hate Croatian grammar. I love Croatian. I love speaking Croatian. When I get angry, I go right into Croatian.
I love listening to you speak Croatian.
Oh,
She's been on the phone like a number of times the last few days, and I just love listening to it.
I have a cool little story about that, and it'll shout out to our cum Chris. But years ago, it was the year we got married, and he was our photographer for the wedding, and his family's from Slavonia, and they're very like it's like hardcore Croatian, and I'm from Kai land, and it sounds very different, and when I got married, a whole lot of my family from the village here came to the wedding. And he was in our house when all my cousins were there, and they had just come, and it was like, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh my God, Cam does speak good Croatian. This is how they all talk. And he was just like, holy cow. He's like, it's so sing-songy. And I'm like, it is very sing-songy.
It is, yeah, totally. Like almost like a bit of a yodel.
Yeah, you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you spend too much time in Split. Oh my gosh, guys, we've been jabbing at each other. The Zagreb Split. But okay, so I do speak, I think, pretty well. Most people don't know that I'm not from here, that I wasn't born here, until I mess something up in my grammar, which happens a little bit but accent-wise, I'm pretty on par. But the thing is I say things a certain way because I'm familiar with how it sounds, right? So when I say something wrong, I almost always know that I've said it wrong, and I'll question it and I'll reconjugate that verb or that ending, and with like a question mark, like, is it this or is it that? And someone will correct me. But that's really challenging when all you have to go off of is, I think that sounds right. And what's always been lacking for me is that I want to know that it's right because I know the rule or the pattern. And I've never had the opportunity to learn Croatian that way. I had the opportunity to learn French that way because we learned it in school. I mean, I can conjugate anything in French, right? Okay, I'm not that good, but I know how to conjugate. And I don't know how to conjugate in Croatian. I know how to do it, but I don't know why. And I don't know the rule. And I don't know the exception to the rule, And like when I read the posts about grammar, like my head spins. And essentially, I started taking lessons for the reason, because what I noticed was, even though my Croatian is great and even though I can hold my own, is that I was now communicating at a whole other level. I had to deal with teachers. I had to deal with doctors. I had to deal with phone calls of people like talking really, really fast. And there is like a nuance to all of these interactions, including the way that you speak in an email, the way that you speak at a parent-teacher meeting. All of these things, there's like these unwritten rules of the language, and I didn't know them. And so my goal and my motivation for taking lessons was to take that to the next level. And I went and I signed up for 3 weeks at Croaticum, and it was great. But it was what you said. It's like, it's a group of people. It was fabulous. I had a chance for reading, for comprehension, but I really needed that. I needed a teacher who could be like, that's what you need. And I'd be like, yes, that is what I need. And that's what the one-on-one lessons have been giving me. And my confidence has just skyrocketed. My skill set and my ability has skyrocketed. And most of the people here that know me, they're like, wow, like your Croatian, it was good before, but it's gotten significantly better.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And I'm very open. Like, everybody who knows me knows, like, I want you to correct me, because the more I hear it said correctly, the more likely when I'm like, is that right? That I'll be more confident that it is. So like, everyone who knows me knows that I want to be corrected. And I'm being corrected less and less. Yeah, yes. So that was my reason for it. And here's the thing, if you ever get to the point where you think you can't learn anymore, dude, you're thinking the wrong way. We can always learn more and learn from somebody and make ourselves uncomfortable and do things that are hard. And I think that moves us forward and makes us better people. And it was a great, look at the hand claps.
Hi, Neve.
Oh, it's Neve. Oh, hi, Neve. I think it was also a great example for my kids, right? Because you can always do better and be better and learn more. And I like to show that to my kids. I also like to send them out so I can have a break from them too, but I also like to show them that we can do hard things.
Well, we humans are evolutionary creatures, and we're meant to constantly change and improve.
Yeah. When I started doing, like the nominative, genitive, all of those that I still don't know off by heart, like that list of...
The prodigy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like when I started, my son in grade 5 was like, Mama, you can borrow my grammar book, because there's like all of this stuff is in the grade 5 grammar book. And so as I was working through my homework, he came and he was like, I can help you with this. And I was like, oh my God, I love you. It was cute. I did use his book because I actually find that the kids' school books, because they're geared to like a 12-year-old, they really, really explain grammar well. Forget the apps, get children's books. They're especially repetitive ones, and like kind of that picture books, like between toddler and go. I found those so helpful. But sorry, it's okay.
A light bulb went off.
I saw it. It was very bright.
Bing! All right. To the audio learner, please correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding, so here, Croatian English TV and movies are not dubbed. They have Croatian subtitles. But English kids movies are dubbed in Croatian.
Yes, we watched everything. I never saw Frozen in English until a few years ago.
I've never seen Frozen at all.
Yeah, but any parent out there will know that that's a huge commitment in the Croatian language to not have seen it. We watched everything in Croatian.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So if you're an audio learner, then maybe watching some kids movies, especially ones that are familiar to you that you've already seen in English, since they're dubbed in Croatian, that could be a great choice.
I don't think that they're kids movies. I just think they're animated films now, Sarah.
Whoa.
You
want to take this outside?
No. I thought my brain was going to explode today, how hot it was.
Yeah, I came back and took like 2 Broof and my head was pounding. It was pretty rough.
A lot of Netflix for... hey, Steph, again, awesome. I watched Friends in Croatian and English and subtitles in Croatian. Very helpful. Great idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch Bridgerton in Croatian.
Yeah, well, that would be interesting given the kind of language that they use to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious how they translate it. Are you ready for the next one?
I am. Is everybody still here? Like, are we just like totally...
They're rapt with attention.
Ooh.
Okay, so you've been involved in the Croatian community and organizations in Canada your whole life, since you were a child, your whole life. I love redundancy. You attended university in Zagreb, but you only moved to Croatia permanently a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. Is there anything different than what you expected living in Croatia would be like?
Do you know, I've been thinking about this question since you sent it to me. Yes and no.
All right.
Because I've spent my whole life coming here. And it wasn't just summers, and it wasn't just summer on the more. I was here in my selo. I went to school. That was just post-war. That was when we did my citizenship paperwork too. Like, me and my dada went, it was, you needed the stamps. You needed to go from that office to this office and that shelter to that shelter. Like, it was 10 times worse than it is now.
You still have to go from shelter to shelter, and you still have to get the pet shots on things.
Oh my God, but it was just insane then. So I don't think I was ever blind to how challenging the bureaucracy of Croatia was, which I think would be the thing that blindsides a lot of people. Like, you think you can handle it, but then you come here and like that can be pretty tough. So that was challenging, but I knew coming here that I had to be prepared for that in a way that as a Canadian, I would have never experienced in Canada. So I think had I not prepared myself to be very, very okay with things not going the way that I wanted them to, that was a big thing that prepared me. Something that's different that I wasn't expecting. I think I wasn't expecting the change that Croatia made in me.
Ooh. Unpack that for us, Cam.
My eyes are watering. There is a pride that is so immense to being diaspora. To being the child of Croatians who left this beautiful country with broken hearts, but with dreams of something better. And the pride that I know that my father and my grandparents would feel knowing that I was back here. And it's interesting to watch myself becoming a Hrvatica in Hrvatska and losing a little bit of that diaspora, but what it has been filled with was something I could have never expected. And I don't know how much that makes sense or how like how like weirdly I'm talking and I'm trying to wrap my brain around with words of what I'm trying to convey. But like, I guess the easiest like example would be coffee culture, because we throw that term around a lot.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I got here and I swear, people, like I was going for coffees 4 times a week and it was a chore. Not in a bad way, but I was like, I needed to make time. Like, I had to like schedule this, because in Canada we schedule our play dates and we schedule our dates with our friends, and they were enjoyable, but it was like, this is a lot. And then there was this switch that happened where I was like, oh, this is important to the fabric of the community building that's happening here.
Yeah.
We need to make time for my third cousin who lives on the other side of the Selo, and for my wonderful friends who helped us fit in and helped with my kids. It's important to make that a part of the everyday. And it's important to slow down. And it's important to have Fridays off in the summer and take that time for yourself. And that's all okay. And all of a sudden, family time trumped everything else.
That's nice.
Right? And so Croatia changed me. It slowed me down. More like, and in here in the north, we don't say pomalo or fiaca. Actually, these are terms that I've learned since I got here, because that's not a cross Hrvatska thing.
No, that's a Dalmatian thing.
Right? But it really is beautiful and special, and it has changed everything about me. So if there was one thing I wasn't expecting, was that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not coming at it from a diaspora perspective. You know, I was completely ignorant when I showed up. But that being said, I did come from North America, where everything was scheduled and social interactions were just on the list of things to do.
Yeah, yes, that was how I felt. It took a long time. It was like half a year to almost 3/4 of the year before that left my heart.
Yeah.
And like the goodness came in. And just back to the diaspora, like I've never felt so at home where I belong than I have here. And I've always had one foot here and one foot there. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is where I was meant to be. And when you're so close to your roots, you have this new opportunity to flourish. Yeah.
That was beautiful, Kim.
Thanks. It was hard to hold back tears. Oh, we just dropped the phone with the
whatever.
questions.
It's
Ooh,
fine.
I have a knock-knock joke.
You are the queen of segues.
I am. Well, my kids got this Kindle, and they didn't get it. We got it for them because they're avid readers, and it's kind of expensive to get English books here. Mm-hmm. And so we got this Kindle, and my kids like download these random joke books and dad joke books and knock-knock joke books. So like, and pun books, which is why I knew about the quality. Yeah. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Voodoo.
Voodoo who?
Who do you think you are asking me all these questions today? Oh, that's so true. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. Honestly, it's the heat. Oh, it changed me too. Hey, is it it's Kirsten. Yes. Which is why I'm working to get the visa for a year. Slowing down increased my experience in life. Yes. Guys, like, life is just going by us.
Yeah.
And it's like, the gift from Croatia is pomalo.
Yeah. Oh, look at you embracing Dalmatian
culture.
Yeah, I wore you down. I wore
Love
you.
that feeling and the way you express it. Thank you,
she did a great job. That was very poetic.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I was just trying to be honest and genuine.
Why would we be anything other than honest and genuine?
You and I are always honest and genuine.
I'd say so.
I'd say so too.
Even when it bites us in the ass.
Can do that sometimes. I think a lot of diaspora feel that pull. It's a big change coming here and being a citizen and living versus just visiting. It's the gift that keeps on giving. I'm here planning my future. Amazing. Good luck.
Yeah. In Australia, I felt the same, neither an Aussie nor a Croatian, somewhere in between.
See, I felt I'm a Canadian and a Croatian. But in Canada, I always yearned for Croatia. Always.
I was at a diaspora and tourism conference in 2019, and there was a man speaking, and he said, he's diaspora, grew up in Australia, and he said, when I was growing up in Australia, outside in the world, we were Australian, but in the house, we were Croatian.
Oh, interesting. No, we were always Croatian. Immense pride all the time.
Absolutely. All right, you ready for the last question?
All right, my mouth is. I can't wait to have some alcohol when we're done. I was gonna bring you vodka, but I was worried that it would like melt in this heat and like get all weird.
Yeah.
I'll give you vodka this weekend before you go home.
I mean, this feels like we're being punished for something.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we're indoors.
Yes.
in the hotel room with the air conditioning. Yeah. All right, last one.
Last question.
In Canada, and now here in Croatia, you have been heavy into folklore.
Heavy.
What is it? Why do you do it? Why does it matter? And what is the biggest threat to Croatian folklore dying off? Which I know is a lot of questions, but I imagine there's some answers that kind of overlap into one picture.
Yeah. If you're a Kolo kid, raise your hand. Or played tambura growing up in the diaspora. Croatian folklore is, my heart. It's my heart. I love folklore. It is the identity of Croatians, but not just as a whole, but every village has their own songs, dances, costumes, hairstyles. I mean, the diversity in such a small country is absolutely astounding and beyond beautiful. And our folklore traditions are the way that we keep who we are alive. We tell the stories of our past and our ancestors, their traditions. It's tied to weddings, to funerals, to births, to harvest, to weather, to the church, to pre-church and pagan times, and it tells the story of the Croatian people, and I think it's extremely important. I think it's the most beautiful thing. I think I've already said that, and I think that we don't pay it enough attention, even though it's paid a lot of attention to. I think that as the generations go, especially in the diaspora, there's a potential to lose some of that. And even though I think there's some really great efforts to maintain it, as each generation goes, we know that we're further and further away from it. And of course, with each generation, things are changing and things are forgotten, or somebody does it wrong, and then you learn from that. And so, there's a possibility of losing some of it. I was just at a seminar in Zagreb where they were talking about the Zagorje nošnja, and even the materials that these nošnja is a costume, the materials that these costumes were made from, you can't even make that material anymore.
Ugh.
Right? And so there's barely any more of some of the materials to actually remake them. So there's been a real focus in Croatia on preservation and finding these pieces and things like that. And I know that the diaspora does that too. And I was very, very heavily involved in folklore over there. My grandparents, my mom, my dad, myself. I danced since I was 3.5. I started teaching as soon as I was old enough to teach. And some would even say that I am a cola queen.
I believe it.
And when I came here, once the kids were settled, I thought it was time that I could get back into it here. And so I joined a local KUD, which is short for Kulturno-umjetničko društvo, so a cultural society. And I started dancing and singing and doing all the things that I love. And but it functions differently here than it does there. You know, I think Croatians here were never away from it. And I think they have a different, at least in my experience, some people, obviously you can't speak in generalizations, but I think that as diaspora we have a different relationship to folklore than people do here.
I mean, one could argue, conversation for another time, but one could argue diaspora has a different relationship with most things about Croatia.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's been really interesting participating in it here. It functions very differently here in Croatia than it does in Canada. And I've enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed the level of education. I think there's a lot more opportunity to educate and learn and have seminars here and be a part of things here. And in fact, segue, I'm taking Sarah to her first Lado concert tonight. And for those of you who don't know, Lado is the national folklore ensemble, and they perform Croatian folklore tradition songs and dances, have musical instruments. They do that nationally and on the international stage, and they're brilliant. And I'm very excited to be taking you to your first concert.
Where is it going to be at?
It's in the Gradski Museum, the City Museum in Zagreb.
Ooh, does that mean it's indoors?
No, it's outdoors in the atrium, but that's why it starts at 9. We're outside. So it's, you know, it's really hard. I feel like I've only scratched the surface on this folklore conversation because it's, I mean, how am I going to answer that in a few minutes? But, you know, we've got the guide on folklore in Croatia, and I did contribute and shared a little bit more about my experience with folklore, my love of folklore, and I always post pictures whenever I have a performance or have a costume on or whatnot.
We had a post here on Instagram on the heat related to the folklore post, and there are some pictures in there that are of Cam. So you might see a friendly, recognizable, familiar face if you go back and take a look at that post. All right, this is a big topic, and I know we can't cover it all today, so let me ask you one more question about it. What do you think is the single most important thing that can be done to further preserve folklore in Croatia?
Education, and of young people. I think COVID really hurt folklore both here, from my understanding, and abroad. The groups are struggling here for membership, and I think in Canada, at least, you know, I'm still very much connected with the groups that I was connected to in Canada. I think it's on its way back up, but here, like, there's not enough interest of young kids.
Yeah, and I would really love to go off on a tangent about that because I think that there are a lot of reasons. I think, you know, you guys were abroad. It was maybe, you know, it's easy to take stuff for granted. But I think there's many other reasons. I think this is such a huge topic.
It is such a huge topic. We could do a whole 5-question Friday about Croatian folklore.
That's true.
That's an idea.
But I would like to ask the questions of the foreigners out there. Because as Croatians, I can see why there is value to appreciating this folklore. It's your heritage, it's your culture, you know. It's if it's not preserved, then it's going to die off. But as the foreigners out there, do you want to learn this? Would you go and learn how to do embroidery? Would you want to go to a class where you learn how to make one of these traditional costumes? Would you like to go to a class and learn how to sing some of these traditional songs? I would really like to know this. If you are interested in doing any of those kinds of things, please send us a DM and tell Cam, because my brain has been kind of swirling about how to kind of work with these smaller communities on maybe creating some programs where we could, you know, create workshops for people. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter whether you're diaspora or you're Croatian or you're foreign, but just a way to kind of start passing down these traditions and grow the appreciation beyond just Croatians, because these are really cool things. And here's a great example. When I was on Susak, tiny little island off Lošinj a few weeks back. Huh?
Tiny
little island. They have a very specific dress there.
Nošnja, costume.
Yes, nošnja.
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 Yeah.
Thank you. Gotta take the wins when you have them. Anyways, there are only like 2 women left alive who know how to make this specific dress, and they are not young. And so once they die, like, no one else is ever going to know how to make them again, and that just seems like quite a tragedy. So if you would like to learn any of this stuff, please send us a DM and let us know, so that we can either, at a bare minimum, put you on a list somewhere, so if we do create a program, but also it's just going to help us just, figure out if there is interest, because, at Expat in Croatia, like, we do all this kind of free informational stuff, and that's what we did for most of the time we existed. And then it was like, oh yeah, we have like bills to pay, we need to like have services and stuff, and so of course we have services that we do, because it allows for us to do this as our full-time jobs. Okay, that's just how businesses work. But ultimately, like, what my vision has always been, and I know it's the vision of everyone who's on our team, which is why we have such a great team, we're all kind of looking down through to the same future, is we want to do more community projects. That's what we want to do. We want to give back to Croatian community, help preserve heritage, that kind of stuff, but we need to gauge interest. So if you have interest, let us know.
I also want to add, because some people might not be doers, but in that folklore post, we have highlighted Croatian folklore festivals. So you can go and listen and hear and eat the food in like a very like organic, community focused way. And I encourage you to go see local folklore groups and attend festivals, because they are just magical and so fun. And you can get the best stuff there too, in terms of souvenirs.
Yeah, it's not all just about coffee. There's more to Croatia than coffee in the sea. Okay, so those are our questions for today. Thank you so much, Cam, for all of your wonderful answers. So before we say goodbye, I want to tell you about the stuff that's coming up in the next week. So first, as Cam said, we're going to see a Lotto concert tonight in Zagreb, so there'll definitely be some stories about that, so stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, I am meeting our editor-in-chief, Maria, here in Jaska, and all I'm going to say is tomorrow's a very special day. That's all I'm going to say right now. So if you want to know what that means, then check our stories tomorrow, and then you will find out what tomorrow is and what's happening tomorrow, because it's super top secret. And hello, California. Hello. What else? I go back to Split on Sunday, and then Tuesday, I'm going to Dublin for 2 days for a very quick trip, because I'm seeing my favorite band play at Malahide Castle, and I'm very excited about it. And I'm certain that I will put on stories, hey, does anyone want to follow stories about Dublin? And then I will have a poll. So if you want to, respond to that poll and say yes. If you don't, respond to that poll and say no, or just ignore it. And then, okay, because I'm a crazy person, on Thursday, I fly back from Dublin. I arrive at Split Airport at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I have a flight at 8 p.m. to Pula. Rob's going to pick me up at the airport at 12:30 a.m. because Croatia Airlines delayed the flight, so I have this crazy long layover in Zagreb Airport. But I'm going to Pula for the 6th annual Iseljenički. That word. I knew I was missing a syllable. Can you say it again? Iseljenički.
Yes.
Congress. So it's a conference. My buddy Don, who I've mentioned many, many times.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Don. Don doesn't want. Don's not a social media person. I wish Don were here. Don's not a social media person. So he invited me to come participate in a panel, and this panel is specifically for foreigners who came to Croatia and started businesses who have no prior connection to Croatia. So it's myself, and Rob is on the panel, and then there's another guy who I think is a photographer. He's on the panel as well. Maybe 1 or 2 other people. So we're going to be doing that. I think the panel's on Friday, and the conference is Thursday. Well, I guess I'll miss Thursday. Friday I'll be at that conference, and then Saturday they have an excursion into Istria to Groznian and Vodnjan up in the north. So that's pretty cool. So if you're around northern Istria in either of those 2 villages, you might see me and a bunch of Croatians wandering around Istria on Saturday. And then Sunday, like crack of dawn, again, because I'm a crazy person, I'm flying out of Pula at 6 a.m. to come to Zagreb.
But you were just here.
I know. I'm in Zagreb a lot in the next few weeks. I'm coming to Zagreb. This was a total last minute change this week because on Monday, the Croatian Fraternal Union, yes, is hosting a, like, I don't know if you call it a workshop or a course, I don't know, something. On Monday from 9:30 to 3, they are offering like a day of how to learn or learning Croatian history. That's what they're going to teach us is Croatian history. And I'm so excited about that. And it's free. It's free. I don't know if they still have new spots. I know that we put it on our stories in case you wanted to sign up. If you missed that, send us a DM. I'm going. Daniela's going. Maria's going. I know at least those people from our team are going. So we'd love to see you down there learning about Croatian history because we have had a lot of questions over the years about how can English speakers learn Croatian history. Well, this is a great opportunity and you can come say hi to us.
Oh, that reminds me.
What?
Well, CFU's not just here doing that. They are having their Tamburica it's actually adult and junior Tammy Fest here in Zagreb. At the Lisinska Dvorana, now I'm mixing Croatian and English and messing up the grammar, at Lisinski in Zagreb, and there's performances, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there are a lot of American Croatians and Canadian Croatians that are all going to be descending on Zagreb in the next week for that major event.
Cool.
Yes. Shout out to CFUers who are coming.
Yeah, and Tuesday I'm going to a presentation that's being put on by or sponsored by the American Chamber of Commerce in Croatia, and it's all about tax.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna so from like 9 to 12:30 on Tuesday, I'm just gonna be sitting there learning about taxes.
No, thank you.
But I get high on stuff.
I know
like
you
that.
do. I know you do.
I love stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. Someone from the tax office is going to be there. Someone from KPMG.
Oh.
What's up?
What a busy schedule. DJ asked a question down here. I missed it. Where is this located? I don't know what you're asking about. Where is what located?
Yeah, what?
We're all over the place.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Zagreb, Groznan.
Yeah, I actually don't know when I'm going back to Split yet. I haven't booked my return flight.
Well, you could stay here forever. I know how much you love when I up Zagreb to Split.
Well, Zagreb does one up if I'm here.
Wow. I'll see if I can get her out the door.
Yeah, no, I don't know when I'm going back yet. I've got so many things to do in Zagreb.
You do.
No, I've got 2 trips to Zagreb because I've got a birthday party to go to on July 13th up here in Zagreb too.
Oh,
so I probably might go home for like a few days and I'll be back in Zagreb again. So it's gonna be a crazy couple of weeks, guys. But stay tuned on stories and I'll be sure to document as much as I can. So we gotta go.
Yeah.
We have done so much today. We did this an hour and a half.
Oh my god, it's like a Michael Freer episode.
Yeah,
but without the alcohol.
I know. Well, we didn't quite beat that record. That was 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
That was 2 hours.
I can't believe you people are still standing. Hold on, there's a question. Oh, to learn the culture of Croatia. Oh, I think it's happening at Matica i Seljanika, which is located adjacent to the Lisinska Dvorana. So it's in Zagreb.
The concert hall.
Yeah, the concert hall. I think if you send us a DM, we can send you the info. Look at all those Croatian flags. Thanks.
Yeah.
And a heart.
Oh, last thing to say. Monday is the 3rd Croatia game of this first group with the Euros. And they're playing Italy. That's at 9 o'clock. The game on what day was that? Wednesday? That was tough. That was a tough one. So I hope that you're all going to come out and watch the 3rd game against Italy and cheer Croatia on and send them all your love and good vibes. So they know that we're here supporting them and love them no matter what, right?
Oh, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. So we have to go put on our fancy dresses now because we're in Zagreb, or going to Zagreb. We have to dress all big city. This is too Dalmatian, clearly. I asked her, what do I wear to a Lotto concert? And all she said was, summer dress, comma, Zagreb style. Yeah. So, all right, now we're done.
We're
done.
just babbling.
Yeah, well, that's what the end always is.
I mean, we will give you stories tonight, so stay tuned. But thank you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your questions. Thank you for your support. I have to say, I mean, if you ever DM us or if you ask for links, it really is me checking in, having conversations with you. I love talking to you. We're here for whatever you need. We love what we do. We love Hrvatska. And we're here to help you. So thanks for having me today. I love doing it's my second 5-question Friday. It's my sophomore appearance. Is that what they say in America?
Yes.
Yes, sophomore.
Yeah,
We don't
for
have
sure.
juniors and sophomore.
Or sequel.
Sequel? Well, sequel would imply that it's the end, like...
It's a continuation.
Okay, fair enough.
Of the story.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I will be back.
Yeah. You'll be back.
I'll be back. After I cool down and it's no longer 40 degrees.
Yes. Thank you, Cam, so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
High five.
That one didn't hurt as much as when we scored the goal.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
Ciao.
You're awesome too. Thank you for being here. Bye. Vidimo
Vidimo
say
se.
ciao.